Good evening, everybody. This is, of course, always recorded. And just welcome to number 5 of the town halls as a reminder or as a introduction for those of you who are new to the club for this coming year. This is number 5, meaning we've held 4 others, and the idea here is an update of what's going on, kind of what have we been up to, what you can expect coming into the next cycle of our club program, and kind of just some updates on things that we've been working on behind the scenes, things that you may not be aware of, or things that we want to just kind of highlight a little bit further. So as we go through, please feel free to fire in questions into the chat. I'll happily answer away and save some time at the end too. But let's get going here. Always start with our mission. This vibrant and inclusive, nurturing community is what we're really working towards when we're putting everything we do on the field, when we're putting our coaching education together, when we're putting together our player wellness, when we're putting together sponsorships and programming that moves the organization forward. All of that is tied to our mission. And then, of course, within our 5-year plan that we continue to reiterate, which is the expansion of the academy, which has just started. The depth across our age groups and recognizing that 2 to 3 teams across our age groups will allow us to have players being able to move between levels of play and find the right level of commitment also. We know that coaching education is going to be integral to our club development as well as coaching recruitment. And then a facility, we know that across the city, and I'll talk about this every time, that it's crazy. We deal with fields. We've been really fortunate to access the field that we have at San Francisco State for this summer. But that's never a guarantee, but it's something that we invested in because we knew that we would have control over our schedule and we're able to provide consistency. So always a reminder of our mission and our 5-year plan. So for player wellness, we have our handbook. It's available in the Sprocket app. You should just be able to pull it up and access the document in there. There are things in there around shape and some of the keywords that we're starting to expand, and there's more coming into it. We're actually going to break it out a little bit more, so it's a little bit more bite size and start assigning homework attached to that. But it's ultimately that our coaches are working from it and we want you to work from it too. Part of our partnership with UCSF is that we have athletic testing coming, and we're not measuring our players and going to create a scoreboard of the fastest to the slowest. That's not our intention here. But it's about working on a baseline athleticism for our players, each individual. It helps us understand their growth and maturation. It helps us understand how we can develop them as athletes as well as soccer players, of course, but the things that we can do for our players in the time that we have with them. And then what we expect to be able to provide on top of that is access and opportunities and information around further athletic development. So we've had conversations with some martial arts and with some climbing gyms to be able to really kind of live on this idea of holistic development for our athletes and getting them involved in other sports and other activities so that they have the opportunity to get stronger in other areas and not just focus in on sport. We know that most of our players, excuse me, we know that most of our players are multi-sport athletes, are looking for more things, are really excited about soccer, but also like doing other things. And we want to embrace that as much as possible. Second thing we have for you is mind rhythm. Beth, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. I think that'd be the easiest thing here. And then also just jump over to a little bit of information for our membership around mind rhythm.
Sure. Excellent. Thank you so much, Lee. And thank you so much to the club for allowing me to participate in today's meeting. Yes, Mind Rhythm also is affiliated with UCSF. So that relationship expands. The technology that was discovered, that we'll be discussing briefly today, was actually discovered at UCSF. Our chief medical officer is a professor and a physician at UCSF, Dr. Wade Smith, and we continue to conduct a lot of research and partnership with UCSF as well. So the purpose of me speaking with the group today is I've had the opportunity to connect with Lee about a study that we're conducting right now out of Mind Rhythm. It's called the Discovery Study. It is a detection of concussion and recovery study. And just to provide you with a little bit of background, Mind Rhythm is a medical technology company. We've developed a platform technology, which you'll see a picture of in a moment, a device that picks up a specific signal in the brain with the use of a cranial accelerometry-based device, or an accelerometer you will find in your Fitbits, on your phone, a pedometer. And essentially, the signal is picked up by the device, and when the signal is disrupted and it's analyzed through the software that's built into the device, one can determine whether or not there is neurological damage. We're about to submit to the FDA for the device, which we call Harmony, for identification of large vessel occlusion stroke. We've already conducted the largest pre-hospital study of a stroke device ever conducted, which is very exciting. And we've also already published data in the device's ability to indicate when a brain has recovered from concussion. And what we are learning is that multiple concussions lead to debilitating disease, possibly fatality. And much like with stroke, it's very difficult to identify or detect that a concussion is present, or whether or not the brain has recovered. And that's because there's no tool to provide that data or that information until now. It's all based on symptoms. And we have learned, based on the research that we've conducted, is that symptoms often subside, but the brain is still not recovered. And if a player gets put back to sport, back to play too early, again, that opens up the negative opportunity for additional damage to the player, and again, those potential debilitating disease. So what we're trying to do with this study is to look at varying ages and categories and learn how the brain recovers, what decisions, or learn more about what decisions need to be made in terms of patient management and returning to play. And that's where we're hoping some parents from the group would be willing to participate in that study with us. Lee, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, I would appreciate it. So as you can see, that's the device right there. It's a very lightweight handheld unit. You place it on your head for approximately 90 seconds. And within that period of time, the head pulse data is collected. And if you're having a stroke, the handheld unit actually indicates that you are having a stroke, not just a mimic or a different type of illness, but specifically for concussion. The headset would be placed on the individual who has been diagnosed as best as can be by their physician. And for the purposes of this study, we would be taking data from approximately 30 days of what that head pulse looks like in a concussed individual. And really, we're just looking for referrals. So if you have a student or a player who, again, has been concussed and you're interested in participating in the study, you would contact me, and we have flyers and handouts that I can provide, but you would contact me as your clinical research coordinator. I would provide you with the device. I would provide you with the device kit. I would train you. I would monitor, of course, get you consented, monitor your player, and assist with the data recording process. And the value of this, again, ultimately is protecting players. And we're hoping that this information will, again, assist us in being able to do that after we review the data and publish the data and get this concussion version of the device cleared by the FDA as well. So happy to answer any questions, but that's some brief background.
But just to be clear, we'll have this information available for our families too, through the wellness, through the app that we use too. And so they'll essentially connect straight with you, right? This is a direct connection to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you would just contact me again via cell phone, via email. Email is probably easiest. And Oh, I just see a question pop in, and I'd be happy again to explain more details about the study for each individual who's interested. So does the child need to have a diagnosed concussion to receive the device? Well, we have two cohorts. We have those who have not experienced a concussion within the last year, and the other cohort is to enroll patients or subjects rather who have been concussed. And we would like to get a player enrolled as soon as they have received their diagnosis of concussion, just so we have a better understanding of the response of the head pulse, or that signal I mentioned, immediately following the incident. And yes, Lee, to answer your question, completely referral based only. I will share that this is an observational study, and in good clinical practice, we cannot ethically share any information about anyone's signal, anything that would glean from this study. Again, everything is all HIPAA protected. All of your personal health information is protected, all by good clinical practice standards that we conduct on a regular basis, if anyone had any concerns about that.
Now, interest in this, of course, is aligned with our player wellness, is of course doing the best by our players. Our coaches are educated in concussion protocol, simple things.
Yes.
If we suspect concussion, that players should be removed from activity, and then of course parents are informed. We want them to go to the doctor, but we're really excited to bring a next level of support in here. And whilst it's not necessarily information that you're going to receive right away or in this phase, we want to align ourselves with this because we recognize the importance of providing for our athletes, regardless of what's happening to them.
Absolutely. So this might not affect your players today, but it certainly will affect players in the future. And having this information from those players is a very important contribution for player wellness in totality. And I really appreciate your commitment to this, Lee, and the teams.
Absolutely. So for people watching this in the recording, or of course people that are live here with us, just fire any questions that you may have into Beth or to myself after the fact, and we will have this information readily available both through our coaches and then also through the app, so you can get information over to Beth straight away if we do have an incident.
Absolutely. And I will mention, I don't recall, Lee, actually the entire gamut of age categories for the club, but we are enrolling anyone from age 4 years of age and up.
That's everybody.
Yep, perfect.
We haven't grown to the 3-year-olds yet.
Oh, well.
It's coming.
Well, yes. I mean, I remember watching my 3-year-olds begin their soccer careers, and it was an interesting experience.
Oh yeah, it's the best. Well, thank you very much, Beth.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
We talked in our last town hall around Vikings Day, which is the celebration of the Vikings. And something we're hoping to do a little bit more of is building the connection of what you see in these images. So the bottom, of course, we have our athletes. They came out, they played. We had some of our older athletes come out and play walking soccer. We have our 2 coaches of the year. We asked for your nominations. Coach Jim, Coach Majdi were both awarded with Coach of the Year because of the work that they do, the votes that they received, of course. But ultimately, we want to celebrate Vikings Day as a whole of what the club has done, but then also the people that make it special. So we have our coaches of the year on the left, and then on the right, we have our Hall of Fame inductees. And this is something that I think is often missed from, especially when we look at our new academy, and Beth there kind of talking about 3 and 4-year-olds. We have our young players in the academy, but why would our academy or why would our families have any connection to the 2 gentlemen in the picture who told incredible stories about playing for the men's Vikings team, about the work that goes on behind the scenes that they have done over time through the Vikings, for the Vikings, and continue to represent the Vikings too. And so we are working on telling this story much more, but from a simple participation level with playing at Beach Chalet for a couple of hours. We want to do more things like that. And then also, of course, celebrate who we are as a club and where we've come from, and definitely where we are going. Because to have come from 1922 into today's age, we still have the men's team and we don't quite have that connection yet. And you'll see this through other clubs, and the game is growing due in part to clubs having adult teams, because the players in the program can now see a pathway. You hear this word pathway a lot, but see an opportunity, see a way forward into being able to see themselves playing as an adult. And of course, adult also means moving into college and to whatever level of professional play. But that's made possible, and we have made possible by these adult teams. And then for us as the Vikings, we have to tell that story much better. So watch for more information there. And if you were able to come out for Vikings Day, thank you so much for doing so. That then turned the corner into June 4th, and we began. Our training schedule is here on the left. We broke for summer break last week. We've just finished our summer break now and resumed training this coming Wednesday. We've had 8 training sessions. We've had a little game day for our academy to, if you like, get your feet wet, figure some things out, understand shape a little bit more, understand some of the nuances of the 7v7 game. Then that, of course, leads up into the play dates that's coming up for our academy also in July 27th. And then more scrimmages coming as we get ready for what is going to be the season. When we talk about maximizing a membership, we look at what we set out to do at the start of the year, which is as many soccer actions, as many soccer environments as possible for our players. Now, micro and recreational, of course, are a smaller commitment, which is why we have smaller amount of trainings. But even our revamped recreational program is still providing 60 training opportunities for our players each week. Excuse me, they're training right now in our academy and our 9v9 program on Wednesdays. And then they'll jump into their own trainings within the season when the permits become made available at the beginning of September. You'll see that we have a small count of games, and we really want to show the impact of how you maximize your membership with us, which is largely due to the training environment that we are able to create. The positive that we consistently receive around training, especially with San Francisco State right now, is that all of our players and teams and coaches are together. The ultimate ambition is to create a program where players move freely between teams when they need to, based on level, based on demand, but then also they work with different coaches and they have different experiences every single training session. That doesn't mean that you're doing something completely different every time, but it means that you get to know more than one coach. We know that things change, coaches move on, coaches get reassigned, and often that can be where a team may fall apart. Players feel like they don't know anyone else and they don't want to come back. And this is true of all of the coaching environments that I've worked in, different clubs all across Northern California. So our idea here is to create an environment that brings everybody together in different ways. So you'll have seen players working through stations. You'd have seen them working with their coach. You'd have seen them working with a different coach who you don't know. And again, the idea is to maximize this player's exposure. They may learn something that their coach has been saying. They may learn it straight away from somebody else because they've said it some way differently, or they've just connected the dots in a different way. And that's just the benefit of our players learning from different coaches. Also allows us to mentor our coaches and to challenge them and to stretch them as individuals too. Because once we get into the season, that kind of blue game window, then it becomes a little bit more focused on performances. Of course, we want to win, but we are focused on performances and our team performances, and then the individuals within that. But our training window is a significant window of time where we're able to get our players together. So make sure you're out for summer. If you're coming out Wednesday and or Thursday, the more training you can do, the better. We just know that the more touches a player gets, the more confidence they have, the more they smile, the more they want to keep coming back. And of course, the better that they're going to get too. And as you see, our club soccer program should be producing well over 100 soccer experiences this year. So coming up next, soccer camp started today. 6 weeks of it. You can register at Viking. This is Vikings.org. Registration's open. You can go day to day. You just decided, oh, camp's on tomorrow. We can get out there. You can sign up at camp. Just bring your phone, QR code. You'll register for the day, register for the rest of the week, whatever you want to do out there. Then our seasons are coming. So you should have placeholders in your Sprocket calendar. We're starting to get asked, when are we going to get games? Kind of, we're just trying to plan some vacation. Typically, the SFYS League starts the weekend after Labor Day. And our US Club Soccer NorCal teams, they could have games in late August, but it's more than likely that we will also align with the rest of the SFYS League and actually put most of our games beginning in September. So just keep an eye on your calendar. Do everything you can to note your attendance so that your coach knows if you're going to be there or if you're not going to be there. That's great for planning purposes, of course, for game situations, if we need to reschedule games or we need to make sure we have enough players. But ultimately, recognizing that the Vikings of tomorrow is continuing to evolve our programming. Our initial survey asked for your feedback, and the information we received was very much we want consistency. We want to have more training opportunities, more game opportunities. And so that's why our calendar looks the way it does. And then coming up just before Thanksgiving, or maybe just after, there will be another survey. So we'll continue to do the survey annually. And then your information helps us drive any sort of change or tweaks that's coming into the following spring season. And then, of course, definitely for the next soccer year too. So our Vikings of tomorrow is ultimately shaped by you and your feedback also. And then our last thing here is our partnerships. You've heard from Beth, you've heard what we're doing with UCSF. The second part now is that we just acquired an Academy shirt sponsor. So we're moving our banking over to Poppy Bank. They are a community bank. They recognize the value of having their brand on our jerseys, on our players out in the community. They will see our jerseys on game fields across San Francisco. And then, of course, for any games that we're playing out of town, the July 27th play date, for example, is down in Morgan Hill. And then there may be games up and down the peninsula. So we recognize the value of partnerships simply because from a financial perspective, it allows us to offset costs a little bit more, whether that's supporting our coaches in other ways, whether that is providing further for our scholarship fund. But we know that we have an active and engaged community. And so if you are familiar with a business, you're familiar with a business who wants to complement the work that we do, please do connect with me. Our shirts have sponsorships. We have emails that can be sponsored. We have opportunities for speaking, like with Beth and Mind Rhythm here too, to inform our membership of what we're doing. So please know that any sort of partnership connection like this is greatly appreciated. We're always out searching for grants and funding, and all of that is ultimately going back into our program. And what you see, you'll have seen those nice new goals that we've got. We've got nets coming for those for the Vikings, and not just micro soccer. So big things are coming. The more support we can get on this through partnerships, especially mutually beneficial partnerships, we are all ears and eyes on those conversations. So just consider that as you go about your day-to-day lives. And that's it. We always promise a 20-25 minute window of time. And there is all of our current information. And our next one will be it'll be right around as we get ready to wrap up the season. And that's typically where we include all of our survey results too, and get that information to you. Mary, opportunities, will teams be start participating in State Cup? That will likely that's a conversation that we can have depending on the level of team, age of team. State Cup is always an option for teams to play. It's something that we haven't typically pushed due to fields being an issue where we have to host games outside of regular league games and finding the facility. It's absolutely doable. We just want to make sure that it's not going to conflict with what our team and our coaches have lined up for them. So a little bit of a messy answer for you. But we'll get that information. If you want to shoot me an email, Mary, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you too. And anybody else that has questions around things like State Cup and tournaments, a lot of that is determined through the teams and through the coaches. And then our director of coaching, Joey, is the ultimate say on the benefit for the team and pushing that too. So please do keep that in mind. When will Kinder teams be finalized? That's what's it's ongoing, Heather. So that should be coming up here real soon too. Yeah, of course, absolutely. Um, and then any more questions? Anything that anybody else wants to fire in? But please do keep in mind sponsorships, kind of your commitment here, your membership, the opportunities, access to the programs that we have going on. Just consistently noting your attendance and availability helps with planning, helps with scheduling for us too. So with that, I will say that is all we have for today. And I thank you guys all for your time, and especially for the reschedule from last week to this week. So thank you all very much, and reach out anytime. I'll see you soon.